Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar on enhancing plant efficiency and safety while reducing the total cost of ownership with Vanessa Triple Offset Valves. I'm your host, Andrea Sutti, the Emerson Global Product Manager for Vanessa Triple Offset Valves. Before we get started, let me read a few housekeeping notes to get the best from your experience. First, at the bottom of your screen, there are multiple tools you can use. All the engagement tools are resizable and movable, so you're welcome to move them around to get the most out of your monitor space. You can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. During the event, please use the Q&A tool for questions. We will answer them via email. Additional help materials are available in the related content tool. In addition, we encourage you to download any resources or links that you may find helpful. For optimal viewing, use a fast, stable internet connection and close background apps and browsers to avoid disruptions. The event is being streamed through your computer, so there is no dial-in number. However, for the best audio quality, please ensure your computer speakers or headset are properly set up. Some networks cause slides to advance more slowly than others, so logging off your VPN is recommended. If your slides are behind, pushing F5 on your keyboard will refresh the page. You can find additional answers to common technical issues in the help tool at the bottom of your screen. A recording of the event will be available after the event concludes and can be accessed using the same audience link sent to you earlier. And now, almost ready to get started. A few words about me. I'm a mechanical engineer. I started my career in early 2000 in the automotive industry, and then I joined Vanessa in 2015. I had the chance to rotate through different roles, gaining a lot of product knowledge and experience by looking at it from different perspectives. And then in 2022, I was appointed as the Global Product Manager for Vanessa Triple Offset Valves, in charge of product market positioning and the strategic initiatives aimed to boost product competitiveness. The agenda for today. So we will start by reviewing the typical process plant challenges and then the traditional valve design technology. Then we will introduce the Vanessa Triple Offset Valves, how the design works and the benefits provided to the users. And then we will wrap up with the proven results and the success stories and the questions and answers session. So let's get started. We know that valves are playing a pivotal role in any process plant, whether they are for process control, isolation, or they fulfill emergency functions. They are essential devices for achieving plant productivity, safety, and sustainability. And yet, every plant has a problematic valves that put these goals at risk. These problems may be related to operability issues, product loss, either internal leakage or external fugitive emissions, or a higher total cost of ownership. So the appropriate valve selection and the adoption of the state-of-the-art technology can help solving these problems. So, understanding the product functions is crucial in order to properly address the valve selection. The valve industry can be segmented within two main categories. One side, the manual isolation function, and on the other side, the actuated process control function. The textbook manual isolation valve is the gate valve, while the valve that is typically selected to fulfill actuated process control functions is the globe valve. And then ball valves have been developed to fulfill both functions, as well as triple offset valves, with this one more oriented toward the actuated process control than the ball valves. So the proper valve selection and the adoption of the state-of-the-art technology help the customers addressing the issues I mentioned before and overcome the typical design limitations associated with the traditional valve design. And talking about the design limitations, I would start by mentioning the gate valves that typically experience issues in terms of capability to provide fugitive emission containment. You see here, this picture is showing a sectional view of the packing area. The packing is the element that seals the shaft against the fugitive emission. And you see the linearizing stem solution versus the quarter turn rotation design. And this is how the valve looks like when it is new and after operation. So basically, the linearizing stem valves tend to bring particles, debris, dirt from the outside in line through the packing, creating a sort of extrusion, abrasion effect on the packing itself that can result in difficulties to provide containment on fugitive emissions and more frequent maintenance required. All limitations that are overcome by the quarter turn rotation design because basically keeps the packing area safe from the outside and also reduces the stress on it. And then limitations in valve operability because of the very narrow alpha angle typical of a gate valve that is needed to provide a tight shutoff. This type of valve can be subject to jamming issues in case of temperature fluctuations. And then moving on the globe valves that are basically sharing the same issues in terms of fugitive emission containment, for which some design features have been developed, but the reliability remains a problem. And then limitations in providing tight shutoff because the larger cone angle that results in a lower seating force with risk of leakage. And the ball valves. I wouldn't mention the floating ball valves, not really comparable to the triple offset valves in terms of performances, while the trunnion mounted ball valves typically rely on polymeric lip seals that invalidate the inherently fire-safe characteristics and have also issues at cryogenic temperatures. And they also experience frictions throughout the valve operation, resulting in more frequent maintenance required. And overall, these valves are featuring larger footprint, heavier weight, bigger actuation, and significant maintenance required. And this is where the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve, when applicable and properly configured, can make a difference over the traditional valve design, thanks to the superior characteristics of this product. The Vanessa Series 30000 Triple Offset Valve. Before mentioning the relevant characteristics of this valve, let me start with the best value proposition of this product, which is more than 40 years of experience and proven in use applications with constant feedback from the field and continuous development and improvement to become the most successful and reliable triple offset valve in the market. And then let's have a look at the valve design features, starting with the cone-to-cone sealing principle that is ensured by the triple offset design. To explain the triple offset design, let's imagine to start with a fully concentric valve geometry that shows, as a main limitation, the presence of the shaft right in the middle of the sealing area. And this is where the first offset enters into the picture by displacing the shaft position away from the seating area. And this provides a significant benefit in terms of valve performances because it creates an uninterrupted sealing contact area. But if we look at the valve industry, we don't see any single offset valve offered because basically this valve design is not capable to operate and requires the second offset that moves the shaft position slightly aside to provide a sort of cam effect that allows the valve to open and close. The valve industry is full of double eccentric butterfly high-performance valves that are typically resilient seated because they experience frictions during the valve operation, especially in the last 10-15 degrees angle rotation before closing. And frictions mean performance and durability limitations. And this is where the third offset enters into the picture. While the first two offsets are playing a role in respect to the position of the shaft, the third offset works on the geometry of the projected cone from the cone that is projected from the seal ring, tilting the apex from a symmetric geometry to a geometry in which one side of the cone is aligned with the piping center line, providing a frictionless rotation. So this is how the three offsets are combined to provide the basis of the four foundational elements of the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve. Starting with the quarter turn rotation that ensures superior performances in terms of fugitive emission containment, but also product compactness. And then the no-rubbing rotation provided by the triple offset geometry of the sealing elements that ensures and created the basis for the third pillar, which is the metal-to-metal seating. Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is fully metal constructed, so an extremely robust product, but also highly versatile and configurable. And then the torque seating. Vanessa valves require minimum torque to operate and also stable, consistent torque through the life cycle of the valve. And this results in a very compact product, the Vanessa actuated valve, cost-effective and reliable compared to the traditional position-seated valve. And then some design features, the main design features of the Vanessa valve. Starting with the integral seat overlaid with the Stellite 21 as a standard to ensure robustness and long-lasting performances, even in the most severe process conditions. And then the seal ring. The seal ring that is sandwiched between the retainer flange and the disc, which is a carrier, and is capable of floating on top of the spiral wound gasket in order to ensure the self-centering characteristic and also the necessary elasticity to provide tight shutoff. And then some mentions about the valve internals. One-piece shaft design that maximizes the robustness and also efficiently transfers the torque. And then the nitrated bearings with protectors in order to avoid issues in terms of valve jamming. And I could continue with many other significant aspects that contribute to make the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve robust, reliable, versatile, and capable to be configured for a wide variety of industrial applications, including the most demanding with minimum maintenance required. And now, let me recap here. I started with the industry challenges, then I mentioned the traditional valve design limitations, and then I introduced the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve. Let's see now how this product, when applicable and properly configured, can make a difference over the traditional valve design, providing enhanced safety, higher system reliability, minimum product loss, and reduced total cost of ownership. Starting with safety, Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is fully metal constructed, so this means inherently fire safe. So even if it is certified according to the latest standards, the Vanessa valve is fire safe by design, and it is as simple as that. Vanessa valve also allows for electrical continuity across all the components with no risk to have electrical charges accumulated anywhere inside the valve that can result in a spark or fire ignition. And then the cavity-free design. Differently from the gate valves, the ball valves, Vanessa valve feature a cavity-free design that eliminates the risk for solids accumulation and the risk of jamming, and also provide a relevant safety benefit in cryogenic applications where liquid can remain trapped inside the valve and suddenly and dangerously result in a pressure increase in case of gasification. And this is a Vanessa valve, inherently fire safe and cavity free. And then the enhanced system reliability. Vanessa valve features an asymmetric design, trim design that allows the inline pressure to facilitate valve behaviors, and this is particularly suitable for emergency applications. For instance, by installing a shaft side Vanessa valve for emergency shutdown application, the pressure helps the disc closing in case of an emergency situation. And conversely, by installing a disc side Vanessa valve, the pressure will help opening, and this is the recommended installation for emergency blow-off applications. All of this results in a higher safety integrity level provided by Vanessa valve, an advantage that cannot be leveraged by the traditional fully symmetric valve design. And then minimize the product loss. Vanessa valve is capable of providing long-lasting and reliable inline tight shutoff thanks to the no-rubbing metal-to-metal seating with a cone angle that is in between the very narrow angle that is typical of the gate valve but is subject to risk of jamming, and the large cone angle typically applied on globe valves that are struggling to provide a tight shutoff. And then superior performances in terms of fugitive emission containment because the quarter turn design versus the raising stem design, as I already mentioned before, and with a two-piece packing gland design that ensures additional reliability. And the lower installation cost. You see on the installed base how the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve can be significantly more compact than a ball valve with relevant advantages in terms of weight reduction and, of course, valve purchasing cost. And some figures showing how relevant can be the weight and footprint advantage for medium and large size valves, resulting in a lower valve cost, but also in lower cost for transportation, handling, installation, and also insulation if applicable. And the advantages go well beyond the product itself, with reduced need for piping support because of the significant lower weight of the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve, supplemented by the fact that this product is basically unaffected by the pipeline-induced stresses that furtherly simplify the piping design and architecture. And the lower maintenance cost. This animation shows the smooth operation of Vanessa valve, quarter turn, no rubbing, fully metal constructed, metal seated, an extremely robust valve, highly configurable for a wide variety of industrial applications, including the most demanding with minimum or no planned maintenance required. And in case of severe services, some level of maintenance may be required over time, and this is a typical spare part kit that includes the seal ring, gaskets, packing rings, so extremely limited set of interchangeable spares at a lower cost compared to the traditional valves. And thanks to the streamlined design of the Vanessa valve, the replacement of these components is relatively easy and doesn't require any special tool. And now it's time to wrap up with success stories. I could mention several success stories of Vanessa Triple Offset Valve replacing gate, ball, and globe valves. Actually, the entire history of Vanessa valves is made of successful replacement of the traditional valve design because the relatively newer design of the Vanessa valve and release in the market. But if I have to select one case, I would pick up the successful replacement of large gate valves installed in a piping system serving the New York Aqueduct with Vanessa valves, a success story that was even reported by the New York Times, and the article is still available online. And then moving from a single case to an entire industrial process, the molecular sieve, implemented in the gas treatment industry, where traditionally rising stem ball valves were installed to execute the on-off process control, and then gradually shifting to triple offset valves because the enhanced performances provided by this product. And this is where the Vanessa valve shows extensive references of implementation for this type of industrial process. So we started with a single case, we moved to an entire industrial process, and then to an entire industry sector, the LNG industry, that is progressively moving away from the traditional valve design in favor of triple offset valves because they recognize the superior characteristics. And Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is leading this industry sector with the largest installed base worldwide, and can also claim a presence in every major LNG facility around the world. So we reached the conclusion, and now it's time for the questions and answers session. We collected upfront some questions. Let me go through them. So we start the first one. Which types of applications Vanessa Triple Offset Valve can be advantageous over the traditional valve design? I would start with the emergency applications. Emergency shutdown, emergency blow-off valves because of the superior safety integrity level provided by the asymmetric design, as I mentioned before during the presentation. And then the process on-off functions that are typically subject to several challenges, mainly correlated to the degree of the severity of the service. And the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is capable of overcoming these issues with limited or no need for maintenance. And then Vanessa Valve is highly versatile and configurable, and in addition to the basic configuration, is available in cryogenic and high temperature configurations, so a wide range of industrial possible implementation, for which I invite to check the available material on Emerson website and contact your Emerson sales representative for further details. And then next question. When the Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is not a suitable replacement solution for gate, ball, and globe valves, that's a good question. Vanessa Triple Offset Valve features an inline trim, so it's not suitable for those applications that require piggable lines such as subsea piping systems. And then for those applications where even a small pressure drop can be detrimental, such as extensive gas transmission pipelines, where Vanessa Triple Offset Valve may not be recommended. And then, of course, outside the Vanessa product range, such as below 3-inch or above ASME 1500 pressure class, for instance. And the last question. What piping adaptations are typically needed for replacing an already installed traditional valve design with Vanessa Triple Offset Valve? Vanessa Triple Offset Valve is available also with a long face-to-face double-flanged body style that is designed in accordance with the relevant ASME standard for gate valve face-to-face for class 150 and class 300. A face-to-face that is also compatible with other valve design for an easy change out without the need of any piping adaptations. So, and in case of different face-to-faces required, spool piece may be needed for installation. And then we reached the end of this webinar. So let me conclude with Thank you all for the participation. If you have additional questions, please contact us directly using the contact form. Once you leave today's event, you will receive a survey on the presentation, and we would appreciate if you can provide your feedback. You will also receive a follow-up email within 48 hours with a link to view a recording of today's event. Thank you all for attending this webinar, and thanks to the Emerson Isolation Valves Marcon team for the professional support, and have a great rest of your day.